I'm Debbie from stampwithdeb.com, and I am here today to show you this cute frame card that I made. And I was challenged by my team to modify the frame into a card. So if you look on my blog, it's there at stampwithdeb.com, and I will have all the instructions there as well as the products that you'll need to make this. A lot of the new products, a lot of the products are from the new catalog, which launches on June 3rd, and I'm so excited for that catalog to come out. I can't wait. But as a demonstrator, we get to get them just a little bit early. So that's one of the perks of being a demonstrator or a hobbyist. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you what I've used to start with. Give you a shot of my ceiling here. It's a great looking ceiling. And let's see. Okay, we're just about close to center. Okay. All right. So these are some of the products that I used for this project. Let's start with Celebrate Sunflowers. First of all, let's start with the paper. This is the DSP I'm using, and it is called Flowers for Every Season. It comes in a 6x6, and it's beautiful. This is just one sheet of it. There are, I believe, 12 different designs. So it's gorgeous. Every one of them is beautiful. Just to show you, here's another design, and this is what we're making today. This is another design, and it's just so pretty. I love all of them. And I have a third one here that I have made, and this is another design of the paper. So they are all beautiful. So let me, I'm just going to adjust this camera a little bit. Hang on a minute. See if we can get a little bit more of that tabletop there. Okay, so what I started out with was a piece of Whisper White, extra thick, and I cut it at, what are my measurements? Let's see. I wanted it to be 4 1/4 by 5 when I was finished, so I cut it at 8 1/4 by 9 1/2. I have this thing about numbers lately, which is terrible. And then I'm going to score at a 1/2 inch on each side all the way around. So at a 1/2 inch, at 1 inch, 1 1/2, and 2. So I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. So it's 1/2. Switch my hands around there. 1 1/2, 1 1/2, and 2. And you just continue all the way around. And so when you're figuring out the measurement on something like this, you want to add 4 inches to whatever size you want it to be. And that's where the 4 inches comes from. It's these score lines. Okay, so then I'm going to turn it to portrait position, and my last score line is at 2 inches. I'm going to turn the light on here. It might help a little bit. Okay, so my last score line was at 2 inches, so I want to move over a 1/2 inch and score at 2 1/2 to the second score line. So I'm just going to go that far. And then over here, my last score line is at 6 1/4, so I'm going to score at 5 3/4 to that second score line. And then I'm going to just turn it around and do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to go up 2 1/2 here, up to that second line, and then 5 3/4 to the second line. Okay. So then I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut out the corners. Just completely cut this corner out. And do that on all 4 sides. I'm sure we could find something to use these corners for, but nothing comes to my mind right away. But you guys are so creative. I know you will find something. They're great little pieces. They look like tile. You could sponge over them and you would still have the little white groove in there. Okay, so this one, now that I've done that, I'm going to cut up that score line. Remember that 2-inch score line that we made? I'm going to cut up that on both of these. And then I'm going to go from I'm going to flip this over, from my third score line here. I'm going to fold this up. From my third score line, holding on to it is a challenge. Okay. From this score line, I want to cut into the top of that cut so that I have a nice smooth cut there. And it's just one single cut right to it, okay? Going to do the same thing on this end. I'm going to cut up those lines to start with. And then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to cut from that third score line right to the top of that cut. And same on this side. Okay, that is going in the trash. And we can get rid of our scoreboard for right now, because we're going to put this together first. So I just need my bone folder and I'm going to burnish all these lines, all my score lines. I want nice crisp lines. If you don't burnish them, then they just kind of roll. So okay, that one's good. You can already see that this is at an angle, and that's what's gonna give us that frame look. Okay, so then let me grab my tear and tape here. Forgot to pull out. Okay, so I'm going to put tear and tape on the first section on the back. So I flipped it over and it's going to go on the back. Just like that. Now when you start working with this, we're going to, sorry for the ice. My husband just came in and has to have some ice. It's really hot out there today. I'm in California and it's warm. So he just came in from the backyard. So, okay. So this is cut at 3.5 by 4.5, and it's just going to be centered right in here. Hopefully I got it centered right. Okay. So then we're going to start with pulling off the tearing tape and rolling this over. So I'm just going to fold it at the second score line here and just tuck it under like that. Okay, and then just flatten it down. And then bring it back up and it will give me that nice finished edge that I'm looking for. So you want to start with the sides first. Fold that under, just fold it in half. And roll it over. And there we go. Okay, so now we've got our sides. And then we're going to do our ends. So this is the tricky part. This is probably the hardest part of it all. I've tried so many different things on this, and the thing that works best for me is the good old glue. So I have tried glue dots. Glue dots are flexible, ladies. They move. I have one of them that I did with the glue dots, and it seems to move around quite a bit. So this way I have just a little bit of adhesive on the corners here because I want it to hold down my frame in place. I wanted to hold that. So I'm going to push this in, pull that down, push, pull, position it, and hold it. So just want to get it all in place and hold it there. Nice, it stayed. Okay, so we're going to do the other end. Peel off the tear and tape. Put your glue on your corners, just a little bit on that corner, just because that's where you want it to stay. Okay, because that's all it's going to do. It's going to go across there and hold it. Okay, and then let's fold this down, pull my sides in, push my bottom down. It's just manipulating it and getting it all in place and then holding it. This end is a little bit out. There we go. Okay, my box is done. Okay, let's see. So, on the first ones I did, I stamped on a window sheet, which I did not bring over this time, and I'm going to go grab one. Hold on. So I'm going to cut my window sheet at 3.5 by 3.5. Just, okay, that didn't feel like it cut. It did. It was just so easy. So that's 3.5 by 3.5. And it just, I stamped on the window sheet the first time. But then afterwards, I kind of regretted that because there was nothing on the inside then. This little circle comes from the Tasteful Touches, the dies that coordinate with the Tasteful Touches. So it's this little circle right here. And I am loving it. Look at that. Is it adorable? It has little tiny dots all the way around like it's stitched. So I took this little circle and I'm going to stamp, and the only color I have of the new in colors so far is the Misty Moonlight, because it came in the paper pumpkin this month, and so we haven't been able to order the new stamp pads yet. With this coronavirus going on, it's held up many things. It turns out the company that makes the ink refills has been sequestered to make something else, so for the virus. So I just stamped the Just Because in the center. You could stamp Happy Birthday, you could stamp anything you wanted in the center of this thing. And I used the sunflower dies. They have these little stems in there. The sunflower set, Celebrate Sunflowers, it's beautiful. So it has the dies. I used these. Did I? Yes, I did. I used that one. So this is one of the new things coming out in the new catalog. And so I've taken those and I'm just going to adhere them to the back. Just a little tape to hold them temporarily. And just put them onto that back. And I just kind of want to scatter them. And then I have these beautiful, oops, let's put a little more adhesive on it. Flip that over, and I think I'll go that way with them. Okay. And then I have these gorgeous, it's called Forever Gold Specialty Designer Series paper. Forever Gold, and they are beautiful. This is just one sheet. So it comes like this, and it has all these beautiful gold embellishments on it to use. They are so pretty. I mean, I don't know if you can really see, but there are so many of them. They just are gorgeous. And then they also have the frames that go with them. So this one is like that. It's so pretty. They are gorgeous. I can't wait to use them. This one is, let me just lay it down there. And then there are some that are like that. Isn't that pretty? I think it's so pretty. A chevron. Then there's this one. Just beautiful. They are just beautiful. So the whole, it comes with 3 sheets of each in the packet. And I can see that I'm going to be using those a lot. The other thing that I'm going to be using a lot is the gold rings. And I've already done a class with those. And they are so pretty. They are just gorgeous. And they're easy to put on. So I'm going to show you how I put the gold ring on. So, because I think the gold ring is what goes next. Yeah. So I'm going to just put adhesive, mono adhesive. I never would have guessed it. I'm sure you could do it with green glue, but if I just take my dotted mono adhesive here, it sticks really good. And I'm just going to put that. Oh, okay, let's do our front first because I'm not sure where I want to put that yet. So let's do the front of our little booklet here first. So I'm going to set this aside and set this aside so we can get the big shot up here. So something new that I learned and I want to share with you guys is, let's see which way I want to do this. Oh, first of all, we need to score. So I'm going to score this. I cut this at 9 1/8 by 5 1/2. The 5 1/2, of course, is the card size, which should be the size of my box, and it is. And then I'm going to score it at 4 5/16. I know you guys love me for these odd measurements. 4 5/16. Mr. Big Shot, you're going to move away for a minute. Okay. 4 5/16. So I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to put this down at the bottom so I don't grab it. So 4 5/16, 4 1/4 is your main line here after the 4, and then 5/16 is that next little tiny line on your cutter. And then I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side at 4 5/16. Okay. Now we're ready for the big shot. Okay, here we go. So we have our great big shot in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this paper and I am going to just put a little bit of adhesive along the top here. So if you get a kit from me in the future and it has a hole in the front of the card, you will know that this is what I have done. My adhesive is running out. Grab a new one. Ooh, okay. It looks like I'm all out of those. That's not good. I have an order coming. Okay. So we're just going to use the other adhesive. And what I'm going to do is put this on here centered like I want it. So that, and you notice I glued at the top. Okay. So I'm going to put my circle in here. And I'm going to die cut this. I'm just going to line that up like so. Okay, let's center it, please. Wait a minute, I have a little problem. This is not centered when I put it on. I went higher on one side. So let me see if I can just pull that off a little bit and go down. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, so then we're just going to center that on there. and run this through. So now what will happen is that centerpiece that I have cut out, you would be able to use for something else. And it will cut through both layers at the same time. Okay. All right. I'm going to fold my card. And I can now go back and slide my 3.5 by 3.5 in here. Except I got glue on that. Okay. So I'm going to just put a little bit of adhesive in here. And put my little 3.5, my window sheet inside. And then I can put some adhesive on here. It's a little more awkward this way, but you know you've got your paper in right side up, especially if I've done your die cutting for you. I think it's great because then you won't be going, which way did she put it in here? It's not fitting, and all of that kind of stuff. So if you order a kit from me, you'll know. So what I did is I stamped a greeting on the inside in the back right here before I put my card together. So let's just grab, I think I will send this to my granddaughter. And she is miles apart. And I think that's what this one is. Let's grab this and you get to see how I mount my stamps. So I'm just going to pull those off, peel this off. My belief is the less you touch these surfaces, the better off you are. So I just am going to start with this end. It's skinny, and then I'm going and I'm just lining it up. And then I'm going to pull it off and I'm going to touch it, because if I don't touch it, it will be too sticky. It will stick in on my block too much. So, yes. She lives in Colorado. In Pennsylvania. So, and right now, she is getting ready to have her mom come stay with her for a couple of days, and I know that's exciting for her. Her husband is going on a trip with her dad. So, but I always think of her often. So, okay, miles apart, but still in my heart. Okay, now what I'm going to do is this is going to fit right just like that. Okay, but we're going to use tear and tape. So you get one shot at it. That is the biggest thing. One shot at the tear and tape. So, I wish I had some more green glue. I would rather use the green glue. I know. I'm going to use something old. Something old, but something that kind of introduces something that's coming back. So remember when we had fast fuse and we all hated it? We loved it and hated it at the same time, because you have to go down and you have to do a check mark. Whoopsie, that's it. Well, Stampin' Up! Is coming out with a new seal, Super Seal, I think it's called. And it is a lot like fast fuse. It's going to be good and strong. And no peeling off the tapes, which is nice. And yet it will hold really well. Okay, and fast fuse is much like tear and tape. You get one shot at it. If you blow it, you've blown it. That's why I like the green glue. I can adjust it. It gives me grace, and I need that. Okay, it's on. And it opens. I should have scored those both directions. Okay, that worked well. I am pleased. Okay, so then my circle is going to go in here, and this is the little gold one that I used. I'm going to put that. I'm going to try to blend that in there just a little bit so that he shows. Maybe it goes there. Okay, let's just put a little bit more adhesive on there. And there. Okay, now I have all these wonderful things back here, which are likely not to stay. They're likely to fall off. So I'm going to use dimensionals, and I'm going to put one right over top of those. Sometimes it ends up being two over top of them. So I think I'm okay on this one. So, and then we're just going to peel those off. Oh, we need our ring, don't we? The one we put all the glue on earlier. Okay, now I can see where my ring needs to go. Just closing this, making sure it's centered on that. Not bad. We'll just press it down. Put my just because inside here. Okay. I really wanted those on the corner more. Let's see if I can shift them over a little bit. There. Okay. So that they have the room to spread out. And I'm not trying to force them in. Okay. So that is the box. I have a little bow here that's made out of the ribbon that is part of the Flowers for Every Season suite. So let me grab a glue dot for that. And this needs something else on the front, and I'll have to play with it and figure out what I want to put on the front. On the other ones I put butterflies, but I'm thinking I would like something different on the front of this one. I know what. Let's get sorry about that, some in-color enamel dots. And these are the new in-color enamel dots, and I could use 3 different colors on this one, couldn't I? So, grab my tweezers here. I could use the yellow, the bumblebee, the just jade, because that's in there. Oh, the cinnamon. I highlighted the cinnamon inside. So, there we go. Just real simple. I'll probably come back and put something right here, like a little flower or something. But that's how the box is made. I wanted to give you the instructions and the video doing it. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate all of you supporting me as a small business owner. And if there's anything that I can do to help you, let me know. And the products will be listed below on my webpage, and I will put them on Facebook as well. Thank you guys so much.